we never left. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another edition of the All Cardinals Podcast. My name is Donnie Drew, and joined always by my co-host, Richie Bradshaw. For more Arizona Cardinals news, analysis, insight, and more, head to allcardinals.com or si.com/NFL/Cardinals. Richie, today we continue our rookie profile series with Owen Pappoe, the day 3 pick from Auburn. But before we get into all that, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm enjoying life. I am doing my best to get through the dog days of summer, but Donnie, we're a little over a month away from getting some preseason football here. So it's a matter of just grinding out July and then we'll get there. But
It's a
little over a
grind.
month.
It's
Yes,
a grind
it is.
indeed, man. And for us too, as content creators, both at the Cardinals level and the Sun Devils level, for you host Locked on Sun Devils. Go and follow him and give the nice little YouTube page a subscription and shout out there. Dead season, so it's an ideal time to come up with all these wacky and crazy content ideas. But people seem to like the rookie profiles that we've done so far, and I think they're really going to like what we have in store today. But like you said, we're a month away from training camp, exactly a month whenever we're recording this, June 27th. Cardinals take the field at State Farm Stadium on July 27th to begin it. Right after that, preseason kicks around, and all of a sudden the regular season is going to be here before we know it. And for college football lovers, college football season is also right around the corner too.
So excited for college, man.
Cannot wait. Indeed, it's going to be phenomenal. Hopefully phenomenal for Arizona State as well. But we are here to talk about the Arizona Cardinals and Auburn Tigers linebacker Owen Pappoe, drafted in the 5th round. This is courtesy of Richie's Owen Pappoe draft profile, which will be in the link below whenever this is published. Highly touted high school prospect, started every game he suited up for at Auburn. Very, very important experience there. But like you mentioned, he is undersized at 6 foot, 225 pounds for a linebacker, especially an off-ball linebacker. Very, very good athlete at the position. We're going to get to that here in a moment. And highly productive SEC player. Richie, whenever you watched Owen Pappoe, what did you see?
Look, he's fast. And I mean, like, fast. This is a guy who ran somewhere in the low 4.4s. He might have even been closer to the 4.3s. And it shows on tape, too. You see this dude fly around the field to the football. The only thing that I really had a concern with is I think he knows that he's definitely a lighter linebacker at that 225, only 6 foot. And it felt like there were times where he didn't want to shed an offensive lineman or anybody that was trying to get to him as a blocker, which as a result was just him trying to avoid contact as much as possible, which at the college level works. But when you get to the NFL, you need to be able to shed blocks. You need to be able to get through contact and be able to navigate your way to the running back at that next level. He is a very good defender in the run game, but it's just a matter of being able to shed those. But regardless, not only is he fast, he's a great athlete. This is a dude who tested well across the board. We'll take a look at that in just a moment, like you said. But when you're looking at a pure athlete, the dude has that kind of potential. He's also got all the accolades as a 2-time captain for the Auburn Tigers. He played every game that he appeared in, over 2,200 defensive snaps. This is definitely a guy that's got a proven track record. I think for being a 5th round, a 5th round pick.
I think so.
He's definitely, he fits that mantra of what they're looking for. Donnie is like an accomplished and team captain for what they were drafting this year. He fits every bit of that mantra that Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort were trying to establish in year 1.
Yeah, that's something they really hammered home each day we talked to him after the draft. I feel like it's something that's been brought up in each of our draft profile videos is a very high character football guy. And I think, like you said, being voted the team captain multiple years in college definitely speaks to that. And Owen Pappoe definitely fits that mold. And when you look at Owen Pappoe, would you watch him? Gone are the days of like your traditional mean, tough, rugged inside linebacker who, just isn't crazy athletic, but like you're not going to run down the middle on him. I feel like those days are over, especially with how the league it's kind of transformed and shifted into a very, very pass-heavy league. You need linebackers who are fast and agile. And whenever I think of Owen Pappoe, whenever I watched him, the first thing that came to mind was sideline to sideline, because like you said, the speed was phenomenal. He tested very, very well athletically. Our good friends Math Bomb, Kent Lee Platt, does these relative athletic scores. So he takes all of their testings, grades them on a scale of 1 to 10, and then kind of compares them to everybody else in the class. So for linebackers, he scored a 9.34 out of 10. So one of the best athletes in the entire class. Owen Pappoe, I mean, a 40-yard dash, sub 4.4. I think he and Isaiah Simmons were the only off-ball linebackers since like 2000 to run under that. And then the bench press too, 29 reps. So I mean, he's strong, he's fast, and granted that frame isn't exactly what you want it to be. Hopefully, in a NFL gym setting, he can kind of add more muscle to that as the years go on. But like, you can't coach athleticism, you can't build it, you can't do whatever. And so what I think they're really banking on the high character football, the IQ that comes with it, and just the crazy athlete that he is.
And he is exactly the crazy athlete. If you guys are watching the podcast right now, you see a lot of green on the screen. The only thing that I read is the height and the weight. Other than that, I mean, he's just one of the top guys across the board. You see it though. This is not like a guy that is the classic looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. This is Tarzan through and through. He plays with a hard style of linebacker. What am I trying to say? He plays like a tough linebacker. He looks the role. He doesn't look like somebody who's afraid to use that athleticism. So looks great there. I wonder, Donnie, if he was 6'2", 235, how much higher he potentially would get drafted. But regardless, this is a guy that fits all of the criteria that it appears Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort had for entering this draft. I think this is a guy who could potentially make a bigger impact than many people are assuming in year one. I don't know. I kind of like this kid to surprise a lot of people. At a minimum, as me and you were talking off the podcast, is when training camp rolls around, I think this is going to be somebody that a lot of people take note of.
No, absolutely. And there's going to be plenty of opportunities for him. We'll get to that in a moment. Now, before that, we're going to go over, courtesy of Pro Football Focus, his kind of career stats. His best year graded was last year, 69.5. Look at the coverage grade, though. I think it definitely stands out, 77.2. You need linebackers who can cover it nowadays. And with Isaiah Simmons moving to safety, with Zaven Collins moving to the edge, you kind of have two holes that you're going to need to fill. Kaiser White is going to be one of them, and then the other is going to kind of be up for debate. But at least with Pappoe, he has experience covering. And then if you look at his snaps alignment down in the bottom left corner, he played a lot of slot in 2022 as well. More so than he lined up on the defensive line. Obviously, he played a lot of that weak side linebacker role, 687 snaps there. But I mean, he's a little versatile too, and I feel like a lot of people didn't necessarily talk about that whenever he opted for the draft.
We'll see, man, because he definitely he looks the part. He does everything that you're looking for. He can drop in coverage. He can attack the run game. He's just got everything there. And I don't want to be a broken record talking over and over and over about the same things, but he just looks like it. And I do love, it's so interesting, right, that he's lining up in the slot and stuff like that. Like Auburn was so comfortable with the way that he played the position that they got to a point where they wanted to experiment a little bit with him. Like, that speaks volumes about the kind of player that he is, that they're interested in trying to get him involved in more ways than one on the defense. I'd be really interested to see if Jonathan Gannon's going to take a similar approach this year.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that is Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis, the defensive coordinator, too, have been very coy about what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. They're not telling anybody what they're doing, and they're kind of forcing us to wait another month until we see it come to fruition on the grass at training camp. So until then, it's kind of anybody's guess as to what they're going to do. And I think they have a lot of interesting plans, because if you watch that Philadelphia Eagles defense, this is something that you've brought up a handful of times too. Those linebackers didn't just stay where they were, right? They moved around a little bit. They had a really fast, athletic linebacking core, both like off ball and on the edge too. So really interested to see how Zaven pans out on the edge. Really interested to see how the interior of the Cardinals linebacking core works, because courtesy of our friends at Our Lads right here, this is where we got the depth chart from. Zaven Collins is going to be an edge player this year, so they still haven't listed that inside linebacker right here. This is a conversation for another day. This is a topic we can get into on another podcast, but I don't know if Zaven's move to the edge is like a permanent thing, or if it's kind of like a Micah Parsons rookie year two. Hey, he plays a little bit of inside, plays a little bit of outside. Like, we can use him wherever. He's versatile. I don't know where they're going to play Collins most, but Collins is going to be playing on the edge a little or a lot. Isaiah Simmons is basically a third safety or a nickelback. Nobody really knows where he's slotting in yet. So you have Kaiser White, and then it's kind of, I think Chris Barnes is going to start opposite of him. I mean, we'll see what Josh Woods and Zeke Turner look like in training camp in the preseason, but I think Owen Pappoe has tools to not start, but like minimum spell one of the starters whenever they need a break on defense.
He could definitely be kind of that third linebacker for them, especially with the different roles that they're looking to do with Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons, and kind of experimenting with them not playing the inside linebacker role. Suddenly the depth isn't as great. I mean, Kazir White is going to be an every down player for them, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They gave him a nice contract. He played with Jonathan Gannon last year and had a very successful season with
Kazir. He had a career high in tackles last year, didn't
he? I believe so, yes. At a minimum, he had a career season with Philadelphia. He was one of their most impactful players in that front seven. He's going to be the same thing for the Cardinals. So from there, it's going to be a matter of who can Pappoe beat for the role next to him, because maybe Collins is kind of flirting all over the place. You want him to assert himself so that Collins is definitely more like that edge player. Chris Barnes will be another guy that he's going to be taking a look at as well. You see the depth chart. They've got Pappoe listed with the second string, and Josh Woods is up there as well. He's just going to have to find a way to stand out compared to everybody else. But if there's somebody who could, it's a guy that's got dynamic athleticism. Those are the kind of guys that NFL teams love to take a chance on, Donnie. They love the idea of somebody just being so much faster and stronger than everybody else on the football field. And guess what? Pappoe looks like that kind of player.
No, the opportunity for him is definitely going to be there. He's definitely athletic enough. I just wonder if the size might come back to haunt him. And this is something we talked about a little bit off air too, is the angles that he takes aren't necessarily all the best. Now, granted, more times than not at the college level, your speed can overcompensate for that. And to be very fair, I have seen my fair share of clips where Pappoe ran down somebody to prevent a touchdown, and ultimately that drive ended up yielding 3 points instead of 7. And obviously, in an NFL game, that can be very, very important. My concern is everything all there for him already? And whatever he is thrown in, I mean, he's a day 3 pick for a reason, right? I mean, if he was really, really that great, very rarely do those kind of guys slip through the cracks. And they do. Don't get me wrong. They absolutely do. But I mean, what am I missing here? Right? Like we've been hyping up Owen Pappoe for the last 14 minutes. Very, very good athlete. I don't know if the size is going to be a factor. Should it be a factor for him being an off-ball linebacker?
I think so, because there are just 99 out of 100 examples of guys who are undersized that weren't able to make a transition no matter how good of an athlete they are. And then every once in a while you have your the Miami kid, Zach, I can't think of his last name. Linebacker, played at Texas Tech. He just got into the Hall of Fame.
Thomas?
Yes, Zach Thomas. You have those examples every once in a while of the smaller linebackers who were able to make more of an impact than maybe you would lead on because they're more driven to the game, I guess. But bottom line is, like, it's just going to be such an uphill battle for Pappoe to be able to be a full-time starter, be a full-time defender all that good stuff. It's just there's too many examples that we've seen time and time again. I'm not necessarily doubting him at all. It's just he's got an uphill battle is what I'm
Zach
trying
Thomas,
to say.
5th round pick, 5'11", 242.
There you go. So a little bit taller, a little bit lighter for Pappoe.
Wish I was a little bit taller. Wish I was a baller.
Yeah, exactly. I love
you didn't
that
finish
Drake
it.
song.
Okay. Finishing thoughts on Owen Pappoe. Crazy athletic. The biggest question is the size, obviously. Not that he's crazy undersized, but like you just pointed out, more times than not, you look at the majority rather than the exceptions to the rule. He can do it. It's just a matter of, when he does get the opportunity, because it very much looks like he is going to. When he gets that opportunity, is he going to bring the game? Is he going to bring himself to the game, or is he going to allow the game to bring itself towards him? Because that's going to be the night and day difference between whether or not he can succeed on an NFL field.
We will see. It's history stacked against him, but we have seen on more than one occasion the guys who were able to overcome and be the outliers to that kind of stuff. Hopefully Pappoe can be one of those guys, because I don't think any Cardinal fans would be complaining with a kind of dynamic, athletic difference maker and vocal leader on the defensive side of the football that Pappoe could possibly be for them.
And shout out to a friend of the podcast, Jess Root, who covers the Cardinals for Cards Wire.
Love you, Jess.
Love Jess. After he was drafted, I had the pleasure of sitting right next to him at the facility. He pointed out that because still we really didn't know where Isaiah Simmons was going to be playing, and he was like, "Hey, he kind of fits that Isaiah Simmons profile of like, very fast, not a whole lot on his frame, plays, fits into that like weak side linebacker role." And the Eagles defense that they ran last year, he was like, if they're moving Simmons to the secondary, this kind of makes sense. And that's kind of been in the back of my head ever since that day. So I think with the Simmons kind of officially now moving to the secondary, that, Jess Root batting 1,000 right now.
Not a surprise. Jess knows
Not
what he's doing.
10 out of 10 surprised at all.
No. This is a Jess Root standing podcast.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. We are rooting for Jess Root. We are rooting for Owen Pappoe and all the other Arizona Cardinals rookies class. We skipped Clayton Tune, so I promise the next episode after this will be rookie quarterback Clayton Tune. That's going to be probably the most fun episode I think we have lined up, because there's a lot of thoughts and a lot of hype.
Make sure you tune in.
That's right. Make sure you tune in, baby. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the All Cardinals Podcast. Go to follow our work on Twitter at Donnie Drew and at RichieBrads36 and allcardinals.com for more Arizona Cardinals news, analysis, insight, and more. Stay tuned into the YouTube channel. Comment, like, subscribe, all of that great stuff. I got a Kyler Murray jersey giveaway coming and plenty of more. Stay tuned.